Welcome everyone to the solving of Edexcel IGCSE Mathematics B Paper 1 November 2024 session. We will be going through each of the questions with concise explanations to help you understand each and every single question as smoothly as possible. So bear with me and let's get started. Now starting with the first question, we need to factorize 28ab plus 21b fully. So in order to factorize this, we can take 7b as common as they are common in both of the terms. So that gives us 4a plus 3. So this would be the answer to question 1. Now in the second question, we have a pattern which is made up of white squares and shaded squares. Now we need to shade one more square to make a pattern with a rotational symmetry of order 2. Which means that if you rotate this 360 degrees, you should get the same pattern twice. Now in order to make our calculation much easier, we can say that if we rotate this 180 degree, we should get the same pattern at least once. So let's assume that this is the diagram, and if we rotate this 180 degrees, so this is 90 and this is 180. So the same pattern must be present in 180 degrees. Now as you can see that all of these things are the same except for one square. Now if we rotate this back to its original form, which is this form, if we shade this a square, which is the equivalent of this square, and then if we rotate this by 180 degrees, we get the same pattern once. So which means that this is the answer. So that is it for the first part. Now in the second part, we have another different pattern made from white and shaded squares. We need to shade one more square to make a pattern with exactly one line of symmetry. So this is pretty easy. It's that if you draw the line of symmetry, if you draw a line in this part, the only missing thing here is this shaded square. Now if you shade this a square, you can see that if you draw other lines, it's not symmetrical. So which means that if you shade this a square, you have only one line of symmetry. So that is the answer to this question. Now for the next question, you actually need a ruler and a compass. For this. Since I do not have a ruler and a compass, I will just give you an overview how the perpendicular bisector will look. So the perpendicular bisector will go through the very midpoint of this line, and it will go perpendicularly, which means it will be 90 degrees to the original line. So it would look something like this. And your construction lines should look something like this. This would be the answer, but I'm sure all of you will know how to use a compass to draw a perpendicular bisector. Now in the next question, they have given us an information is that the bearing of port A from port B is 276 degrees. So bearing of port A from port B. So let's assume that this is point B. And you need to draw a compass diagram at point B. Now, in order to measure the bearing, you need to count the bearing from the north end, starting in the clockwise direction. So this is 90 degrees, this is 180, and this is 270, and let's assume that this is 276. Let me just draw the diagram below. So let's assume that this is 276, and this will be point A. Now we need to calculate the bearing of port B from port A, which means they're talking about this angle. We know that this angle is 90 degrees. We just need to calculate this angle, this theta. So we know that this is 270 and the whole thing is 276. So this will be 6 degrees. And from the parallel line concept, if two lines are parallel and there's a line between them, this angle and this angle will be the same. So which means that this line and this line is parallel. So if this is 6 degrees, this will be 6 degrees also. So the required bearing would be 96 degrees. But the thing is that you cannot write bearing as 2 digits only. You need to write it in 3 digits. Well, this is acceptable, but it's preferred that if you write it in 3 digits. So just add a 0 at the front side. So it will be 096 degrees. And that is the answer to question 4. Now in the next question, we need to solve this equation. So in order to solve this equation, we can bring this one to the left hand side of the equation. So that gives us 5 over 7x minus 2 over 7x equals 18. So this will give us 3 over 7x equals 18. So x will be equals to 18 divided by 3 over 7, which is 42. So that is the answer to this question. Now in the next question, we are given two different numbers, number A and number B, and we need to find the HCF of A and B. So let's first write down these values. So A can be written as 2 to the power x times 3 to the power 2 times 7 to the power 4. And B can be written as 2 to the power 2 times 3 to the power 5 times 7 to the power y times 5. Now in order to get the value of HCF, we need to find the things in common between them. Now we are given an information, it's that x is greater than 2. So let's look at this first. So since x is greater than 2, so the common thing in between them, let's assume that x is 3. So the common thing in between them will be 2 to the power 2. So we need to take this value, 2 to the power 2. You just need to take the least value when finding out the HCF. So in between these two, the least value is 3 to the power 2. And in between these two values, the lesser value is 7 to the power 4, because as we all know that y is greater than 4. So these are the only common values. So the overall answer to this would be 86436. So this is the answer to this question. Now in the next question, a biased dice has 6 faces numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now the table below shows information about the probability when the dice is thrown once, it will land on each of the numbers. Now the dice is thrown 300 times. Calculate the expected number of times the dice will land on a number greater than 3. Let's first find out the probability of the dice landing on a number greater than 3. So they're talking about these three numbers. So the total probability would be the summation of these three values. So the summation of these three values will be equal to 0.42. So we know the required probability. Now, if we multiply the probability with the frequency, we will get the expected number of times the dice will land on a number greater than 3. So the answer would be 300 times 0.42, which is 126. So that is the answer to this question. Now in the next question, 3 kilograms of onions cost 1.71 pounds and 2 kilograms of onions and 5 kilograms of potatoes cost 5.34 pounds. Now we need to find the total cost of 3 kilograms of onions and 4 kilograms of potatoes. So let's first find out the answer to 1 kilogram of onions. So we know that 3 kilograms of onions cost 1.71 pounds. So 1 kilogram would be equal to 1.71 divided by 3. So 1.71 divided by 3, this gives us 0.57 pounds. Okay. Now 2 kilograms of onions and 5 kilograms of potatoes cost 5.34 pounds. So from 5.34 pounds, if I subtract twice of 0.57 pounds, I will get the cost of 5 kilograms of potatoes. So this would be equal to 4.2 pounds. This is the cost of 5 kilograms of potatoes. So if I divide it by 5, I will get the value of 1 kilogram of potatoes, which is 0.84 pounds. Now I just need to find out the cost of 3 kilograms of onions and 4 kilograms of potatoes. So 3 kilograms of onions, which is 3 times 0.57, and 4 kilograms of potatoes, which is 4 times 0.84. So this is equals to 5.07 pounds. So that is the answer to your question. Now in the next question, they have given us a cuboid. Now we just need to calculate the total surface area of this cuboid. This is a solid cuboid, which means we also have to count the upper part of the cuboid. So let's first calculate the surface area of this rectangle. So this is 6 times 5.5. Now there's an identical rectangle to the opposite side. So this will be multiplied by 2. And for the bottom rectangle, the area would be 12 times 5.5. Now there's an identical rectangle at the upper part. So this will be multiplied by 2 also. Now for the side rectangle, this has a length of 12 and a height of 6 centimeters. So the area of this would be 12 times 6. Now there's an identical rectangle to the opposite side. So this will also be multiplied by 2. So the answer to this would be 342 centimeters squared. So that is the answer to this question. Are you still stuck in chapter 1? While exams race closer, watched a dozen videos but still receiving the same marks in tests? Well, it's not you, it's the method. Let's fix that. Now welcome to Exam Essentials, where every second counts and every session hits. We usually offer 2 signature courses for O and A level students. The number 1 is the High Impact Crash Course. It is launched 5 to 6 months before every exam session. Whether you're a 2025 or 2026 candidate or any future sessions, this course is your fast track to astonishing results. And the number 2 course is our complete 1-year course. It is designed for 2026 and 2027 candidates or beyond. Now to know more, check the description box or text us directly on WhatsApp or our Facebook page. Stop struggling, start scoring. Your true potential is waiting. The time is now. Now moving on to the next question. The straight line L1 is drawn on the grid. So this is the L1 line. And the straight line L2 is parallel to L1. So since this is parallel to L1, which means that both of their gradients would be the same. And L2 passes through the point with coordinates -9 and 12. Now we need to find an equation for L2. Let's first find out the gradient for L1. Now for L1, if we take this triangle and find out the value of rise over run, because gradient is equals to rise over run, the value of rise is 4 and the value of run is 2. So this would be 4 divided by 2. Since the line looks like this, it will be a negative gradient. So you should put a minus sign at the front. So this would be equals to -2. So the equation for, since the L2 has the same gradient as L1, the equation for L2 would look something like this. Y minus y1 equals -2 times x minus x1. Now we just need to substitute this coordinate in terms of y1 and x1. So the value of y1 is 12 and the value of x1 is -9. Since there's a negative sign at the front, this would be +9. Now we just need to make y the subject. So this is the equation for line L2. Now for the next question, we need to calculate the value of this. And we need to show some workings because this consists of 2 marks. So we can write this as 2.3 times 10 to the power 114 divided by 4.6 times 10 to the power 117. And the value of this would be 2.3 divided by 4.6. This gives us 1 over 2. So that's 1 over 2. And the value of this would be 10 to the power 114. Since the bases are the same, the powers would be subtracted. So 10 to the power 114 divided by 10 to the power 114 minus 117. So this would be 10 to the powered negative, not negative, 10 to the powered 3. So this gives us a value of 0.5 times 10 to the powered -3. Now we need to write this in standard form, which means that we need to multiply the 0.5 by 10 to the powered 1. Now if we take 10 to the powered 1 from this part, we will get 10 to the power negative 4, because if you add these two values, you will get negative 3. So the answer to this would be 5 times 10 to the power negative 4. Now in the next question, we have a couple of numbers A, B, C, and D, such that they have given us the ratios of these numbers. Now we need to find the ratio of C and D. So we can write A is to B as A divided by B. This is equals to 2 over 5. And we can write A is to D as A divided by D, which is 3 over 8. And B is to C can be written as B over C equals 9 over 11. Now, the common thing between them is A. So we can replace A with 2 over 5 of B. So if we replace it with 2 over 5 of B, so 2 over 5B divided by D, we get 3 over 8. Now if we take this 2 over 5 and move it to the right hand side of the equation, we get 15 over 16. So that is the value of B over D. Now B over C is equals to 9 over 11. Now the common thing in between them is B. So we can replace B with 9 over 11 of C. So if I substitute this value into this equation, so it's 9 over 11C divided by D equals 15 over 16. Now if I take this 9 over 11 and move it to the right hand side of the equation, I will get 55 over 48. So since we need the ratio, we can write this as 55 is to 48. So this is the answer to this question. Now in the next question, we have a quadrilateral ABCD where B and C are on horizontal ground and B, A, and CD are vertical. Now they have given us some information. There's another information which is missing in the diagram. It's that the angle of elevation of D from A is 32 degrees. So what they have given us is that we need to draw a horizontal line on both of these points. So the angle of elevation of D from A is 32 degrees. So they have given us this angle, which is 32 degrees. Now we just need to find the length of CD. Okay, we know that this is 12.2 meters. We can calculate this length. We also know that the length of this is 1.7 meters. Now we just need to find out this length. Let's call this length H. So we know that tan 32 is equals to opposite divided by the adjacent. So the value of H is 12.2 times tan 32. Now we can easily calculate the length CD. We can say that CD is equals to 1.7 plus H. So it's 1.7 plus 12.2 times tan 32. So this is equals to about 9.32 meters. So that is the answer to this question. Now in the next question, we need to write this as a single fraction in its simplest form. So working with fractions, there's a minus sign in between them. The best thing to do is multiply the denominators, which is 7 times 4, which is 28, and cross multiply the other values. So 5 times x minus 1 multiplied by 4, that is 20 times x minus 1, and 7 times 2 times 2x minus 5. So that's minus 14 times 2x minus 5. Now we just need to simplify this. So this is 20x minus 20 minus 28x plus 70 divided by 28. So 70 minus 20, that gives us 50. And 20 minus 28, that gives us negative 8x divided by 28. And then we can simplify this further. If we take 2's common from the numerator and the denominator, so this gives us 25 minus 4x divided by 2 times 14, and then we can cancel out these two. So finally we have 25 minus 4x divided by 14, and we cannot simplify this further. So that is the answer to this question. Now, a team takes part in a sports league. After 12 games, its mean score per game is 96. So we know that the mean is equals to the summation of all the scores. Let's call it summation of x divided by the total number of values. In this case, the frequency, which is the total number of games, that is 12. Now, if I multiply mean by frequency, I will get the total number of scores in this case. So for the 12 games, the total score is 96 times 12, which is equals to 1152. And for 14 games, the total score would be 98 times 14, which is equals to 1372. Now, if I subtract 1152 from 1372, I will get the score for game 13, which is equals to around 220. This is only for game 13, not for all of the 13 games, only for the game 13. Now the ratio of its score in game 13 to its score in game 14 is 2:3. So the score in game 13 is 220 divided by the score in game 14 is unknown. This is equals to 2/3. Sorry, I have made a mistake. Is that for all of the 14 games, let's assume that this is 0 and this is 14. For all of the 14 games, the total score is 1372. And for up to 12 game, let's assume that this is 12 and this is 13. For the 12 games, this is 1152. So if I subtract 1152 from 1372, I will get the scores for game 13 and game 14. So this 220 we have found, This is the total score of game 13 and game 14. So since they have given us a ratio, we just need to find out the value of the score in game 14. For game 14, the required ratio is 3 divided by the sum of ratio, which is 2 plus 3, that is 5, multiplied by the total value, which is the total score of game 13 and game 14, that is 220. So this is equals to around 132. This is the score in game 14. And that is the answer to this question. Now in the next question, we are given some information which is clearly given in the diagram. Now we just need to calculate the value of the angle CBG, which is this angle. So let's first calculate this angle. We know that this angle will be equals to this BGE. So angle BGE would be equal to 180 minus 94. 180 minus 94, because this is a straight line. And we need to give a reason for each stage of our working. So the reason for this is angle on a straight line. You can just write it like this. So this is equals to 180 minus 94. This is equals to 86 degrees. Now we need to calculate this angle. Now since this is an isosceles triangle, the value of these two angles will be the same. So the angle GBE would be 180 minus 86 degrees divided by 2. So the answer to the reason to this would be base angle of an isosceles triangle. You can just write it like this in the exam script. So this is equals to 47 degrees. So this is an angle of 47. And since these two are parallel lines, we can say that this angle is equals to this angle. So angle CBE is equals to angle DEB. And the reason to this is alternate angles. Now in order to get this angle, I just need to subtract 47 from 113. So angle CBG is equals to 113 minus 47. And there is no reason for this. You do not need to give a reason for this. So this is equals to 66 degrees. So that is the answer to this question. Now for the next question. At the start of 2012, Fatima bought a car for $15,500 from the start of 2012 to the start of 2014. So this is a span of basically 1 year. Because if you count from 2012, so it's 2013 and 2014 starts. So this is a span of 1 year. This is also a span of 1 year. And this is also a span of 1 year. If it said from the start of 2012 to the end of 2014, it would be a span of 2 years. So from 2012 to 2014, the value of the car decreased by 8%. 2014 to 2016, it's 2.2. And from 2016 to 2018, it's X%. At the start of 2018, the value of the car was 13,137.4. Now we just need to calculate the value of X. Now in order to do this maths, there is a simple formula. So the original value was 15,500. So in a span of 1 year, it was decreased by 8%. So it would be 1 minus 8 over 100. There is a minus sign because it decreased. If it increased, it would be a plus sign. And since this is 1 year, it would look like this. If it was 2 years, there would be a square over the top. All right. So this is for 2012 to 2014. Now in the next year, in the span of the next year, the value of the car decreased by 2.2%. So this would be 1 minus 2.2 over 100. Now in the next part, it decreased by X%. So it's 1 minus X over 100. And the final value is 13,137.4. So this would be equals to 13,137.4. Now we just need to solve this equation. So the value of X is around 5.8. So if you follow this formula, the answers would be much efficient, and this formula is actually accepted in the mark scheme. So that is the answer to this question. Now moving on to the next question, we just need to make t the subject of this equation. So first of all, let's remove this square root. So if we remove this, this becomes r square equals 5t minus 7 divided by 8 minus 3t. Now let's move this denominator to the left hand side of the equation. So this becomes 8r square minus 3r squared t equals 5t minus 7. Now let's bring all of the t's to one side of the equation. So this becomes 5t plus 3r squared t equals 8r squared plus 7. Now let's just make t the subject. So this becomes 8r squared plus 7 divided by 5t plus 3, oh, not 5t, sorry. So it's 5 plus 3r squared. So this is the answer to question 18.
Hi, are you an October 2025 O-level candidate? Your exams are just 4 months away, but you are still feeling stuck. Still doing classes, watching YouTube, but no real improvement, right? You are not alone, and it's not your fault. It's the method. Let's fix it. Welcome to Exam Essentials, where every second counts and every session delivers. We are launching the High Impact Crash Course October 2025, designed for both Edexcel and Cambridge students. The High Impact Crash Course will start from 10th July. Until 13th August, we'll be covering the syllabus in detail for each and every subject. And right after the end of a chapter, you guys will be doing the Exam Essentials Premium Mega Revision Worksheet, which will allow you guys to get familiar with the recent question papers. And in the month of September, we will be doing extensive paper solving, the past papers, from the year June 2019 to October 2025. Now, you guys might be saying, Sir, I face a lot of difficulties whenever I solve a question paper. Don't worry, dear. In the month of October, our teachers will be having one-to-one sessions with each and every one of you guys to solve your personal problems regarding the question paper or even the syllabus. And after the problem solving sessions, you guys will be giving mock exams. And our mock exams, along with the feedback, are absolutely free for our students. And not only this high impact crash course also includes 20 plus question paper solving videos for each and every subject. There will be digital notes, worksheets, and we will be providing you the recorded sessions of each and every live classes that you guys can rewatch anytime. And all the teachers will be available 24 hours, 7 days to clear your doubts. Stop guessing, stop panicking, start learning the way toppers do. Now, you guys might also be thinking, what are the results of our previous students? The results of our previous students are extremely good. They have done very well. So, without wasting any more time, sign up now and gear up for success with the ultimate O level crash course. Message us on our Facebook page Exam Essentials or WhatsApp us at the number provided in the description box, or you can see the WhatsApp number right here. Book your first trial class. Your top grade is still possible. Start today.
Now moving on to the next question. In the first part, we have to find out the matrix AB. So we basically need to multiply these two matrices. So it's 2, 1, 4, 3 multiplied by 3, 0, minus 3 and 2. Now the rule for multiplying matrices is that you need to go row times column. So 2 times 3 plus 1 times 0. So it's 6 plus 0, which is 6. And for the next part, 2 times negative 3, 1 times 2. So that's minus 6 plus 2, which is minus 4. Now let's get the bottom values. So 4 times 3 plus 3 times 0. So this is 12. Now 4 times negative 3, 3 times 2. So that's negative 12 plus 6, which is negative 6. So this is the answer. Now in the next part, we need to find the value of the C inverse matrix. So the rule is simple. You have to multiply by 1 over 3 times 6 minus 5 times 2. So 3 times 6 minus 5 times 2. And you need to flip these two values. So that's 6 and 3. And you need to multiply by minus 1 with these two values. So this becomes minus 5 and minus 2. So 18 minus 10, that gives us 1 over 8. And 6 minus 2 minus 5 and 3. So you can just keep the answer like this. That is the answer to this question. Now moving on to the next question. We are given some information that is clearly shown on the diagram. Now we just need to find out the angle BCE, this angle. Let's first find out this angle. Now we do not need to show any reasons for our workings. Now if this is 61 degrees and there's a triangle inscribed in the circle with all of the vertices of the triangle are inscribed in the circle. So which means that this angle will be equals to this angle. But we can do this in a different way. It's a much easier way. That if you draw a straight line in this part, this is also 27 degrees. This angle will be 180 minus twice of 27, which is 126 degrees. So this will be the half of the angle at the center. So 126 degrees divided by 2, which is 63 degrees. All right, now we just need to find out this angle. Now in order to find out this angle, so what we can do is that we know that this is 90 degrees. So this will be 90 minus 61, which gives us 29 degrees. So this whole angle is 27 plus 29, which is 56 degrees. Now, if you look closely, this is also a cyclic quadrilateral, which means that if you subtract 56 degrees from 180 degrees, 56 degrees from 180 degrees, you will get the value of the opposite angle, which is this one, that is 124 degrees. And these two have the same length, which means the value of these angles will be the same. So 180 minus 124 divided by 2, it gives us 28 degrees. Now we just need to add these two angles to find out the final answer, which is angle BCE. So angle BCE would be 28 plus 63. So 28 plus 63 gives us 91 degrees. So this is the final answer. Now moving on to the next question. We have an equation is that v square minus u square equals twice as. We just need to calculate the upper bound of a. First of all, let's make a the subject. So if we make a the subject, this gives us v square minus u square divided by 2s. Now in order to find out the upper bound of a, which means the maximum value of a, we need the maximum value of the numerator and the minimum value of the denominator, which means the minimum value of s and the upper bound of, which means the maximum value of v square and the minimum value of u square. So let's first find out the upper bound of v. So we know that v is 25.4. It has been corrected to one decimal place. So it's basically 0.1. So 0.1 is our degree of accuracy. We need to divide this by 2, which is 0.05. If we add 0.05 to the value of v, we will get the upper bound of v. So the upper bound of v is 25.45. Now we just need the lower bound of u. For u, it had been corrected to 4 significant figure, which means this is 0.001. So we just need to divide the degree of accuracy by 2. So this gives us 0.0005. If we subtract 0.0005 from the value of u, we will get the lower bound. So the lower bound of u is 9.5115. So that's 9.5115. Now let's calculate the lower bound of S. Now S is equals to 15 corrected to the nearest 5. So the degree of accuracy has been given already. So we just need to divide it by 2 to get 2.5. Now we need to subtract 2.5 from 15 to get the lower bound. So the lower bound of S is 12.5. The lower bound of S is 12.5. Now we can calculate the upper bound of A. So the upper bound of A is equals to V square, that is 25.45 squared, minus 9.5115 squared, divided by 2 times 12.5. So this is equals to around 22.3. So that is the answer to this question. Now moving on to the next question, on the number line we need to represent the inequality y is greater than minus 5 but less than or equal to 3. So first of all we need to draw a circle at minus 5 and then we need to draw a circle at 3. Now as you can see that for this part there is a less than or equal to sign. If there is an equal to sign, less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, you need to also shade the square. And then you just need to connect these 2 points. So this is the answer. Now for the next part, we need to solve this inequality. So 4x plus 2 is greater than or equal to 21 minus 6x. Now let's bring this negative 6x to the left hand side of the inequality. So this gives us 4x plus 6 of x is greater than or equal to 21 minus 2. So x is greater than or equal to 19 divided by 10, which is 1.9. So that is the answer to this question. Now moving on to the next question, we need to use the factor theorem to show that x plus 5 is a factor of this expression. So basically we need to substitute the value of x as negative 5 into this expression. So 2 times minus 5 cubed plus 9 times minus 5 squared minus 11 times minus 5 minus 30. And the value of this is equals to 0. So this is your answer. If the value is equals to 0, which means that x plus 5 is a factor of the expression. Alright, now moving on to the next part, we need to factorize this expression completely. First of all, we need to use the long division. We need to divide this expression by one of the factors, which is x plus 5. So x plus 5, we need to divide the 2x cubed plus 9x squared minus 11x minus 30. So first of all, we need to eliminate this 2x cubed. So if I multiply x plus 5 by 2x squared, I will get 2x cubed plus 10x squared. So this term has been eliminated. And 9 minus 10 would be minus x squared minus 11x minus 30. Now I just need to eliminate minus x squared. If I multiply this whole value by minus x, I will get minus x squared minus 5x. So this has also been eliminated. So minus 11 plus 5 would be minus 6x minus 30. Then I need to eliminate minus 6x. If I multiply this whole thing by minus 6, I will get minus 6x minus 30. So as you can see, both of them are eliminated. Finally, we have 0. 0 or nothing. So we can write this expression as x plus 5, which is basically the divisor, multiplied by the quotient value, which is 2x squared minus x minus 6. And we can factorize this further. Using middle term, we can break this down even further. So if we use the middle term method, we will get 2x squared minus 4x plus 3x minus 6. So finally, we will get x minus 2 times 2x plus 3. So this is the final answer. You cannot factorize this further. Now moving on to the next question. The probability that Lethna takes the bus to work on Monday is 0.32. So this is 0.32. Now if we subtract 1 from 0.32, I will get the probability of this branch, which is 0.68. Alright. Now if Lethna takes the bus on Monday, the probability that she takes the bus on Tuesday is 0.47. So this has been given as 0.47. If I subtract 0.47 from 1, I will get the probability of this branch, which is 0.53. Now, if Lethna does not take the bus on Monday, the probability that she will not take the bus on Tuesday is 0.71. So this has been given as 0.71. If I subtract 0.71 from 1, I will get the probability of this branch, which is 0.29. So for the first part, they have told us to complete the tree diagram, which we have done. Now let's move on to the second part. Now E is the event that Lethna takes the bus on exactly one of either Monday or Tuesday. So let's first find out the probability of E. So E is the event that Lethna takes the bus on exactly one of either Monday or Tuesday. So she can take the bus either on Monday or Tuesday, but it must be at least it must be exactly on one of those days. It cannot be both of those days. So let's look at the combination. She may take the bus on Monday, but she will not take the bus on Tuesday. So it's 0.32 times 0.53. So 0.32 times 0.53. So this is one of the combinations. Now let's look at the other combination. She may not take the bus on Monday, but she will take the bus on Tuesday, which is 0.68 times 0.29. So plus 0.68 times 0.29. So the probability for the event E is 0.3668. Now let's find out the probability of F, of the event F. Now, if is the event that Lethna does not take the bus on Monday and does not take the bus on Tuesday. So she does not take the bus on Monday and does not take the bus on Tuesday. So it's only one combination. So this and this. So it's 0.68 times 0.71. So 0.68 times 0.71, which is equals to 0.4828. Now the question is that we need to find which of the events E or F has the greater probability. We can clearly see from the calculation that F has the greater probability. So we can end with a conclusion is that F has the greater probability. So that is the answer to this question. Now moving on to the next question. The diagram shows part of the curve C with equation this and part of the line L with equation this. So line L is given in this form. Let's make y the subject for line L. So if we make y the subject, we get 11 over 2x plus 55. Alright, now we need to show that the area of triangle PQR is 442.75. First of all, we need to find the coordinates of P and Q. Also R. If we find the coordinates x coordinate of P, that will be the x coordinate of R. So we know that the curve intersects the line at points P and Q. So we can equate these two equations. We just need to solve it simultaneously. So we can say that 3x squared plus 16x minus 35 equals 11 over 2x plus 55. Now if we rearrange this equation, we should get 16 minus 11 over 2, which is 10.5x, and minus 35 minus 55, which is minus 90, equals 0. Now we just need to solve this equation to find out the x coordinates of P and Q. So the x coordinates are 4 and minus 7.5. So we can clearly see that the x coordinate of Q is minus 7.5 and the x coordinate of P is 4. So this is 4. So we know that the coordinates of R is 4 and 0. Now we just need to find out the y coordinate of P and Q. We can just substitute the value of x into this equation. So yp would be 11 over 2. 11 over 2 times 4 plus 55, which is 77. So the coordinates of P is 4 and 77. And the coordinates of Q is minus 7.5. All right, now if we substitute minus 7.5 into this equation, we should get 13.75. Now, in order to find out the area of this triangle, we can use the determinant method. The determinant method states that the area is equals to half times the first coordinate. The first coordinate is P, which is 4 and 77. So that's 4 and 77. And then move on to the next coordinate, which is Q, that is negative 7.5 and 13.75. -7.5 and 13.75, and the next one is 4 and 0. And we need to end with the coordinate with which we have started with, that is 4 and 77, and the modulus bar ends in this part. Now we keep in mind that we need to keep the modulus bar. I will tell you the purpose of the modulus bar at the very end. First of all, we need to multiply it like this. So it's 4 times 13.75 plus 0 times -7.5 is 0. So plus 4 times 77 minus these values. We need to also multiply it like this. So that's -7.5 times 77 plus 4 times 13.75 plus 4 times 0, which is 0. So end the modulus bar in this part. So let's first find out the value of the part inside the modulus bar. So this is equals to 885.5. Now the purpose of this modulus bar is that sometimes we mix the coordinates. We start with coordinate r, move on to q, and then p. In that case, this value would probably have been negative. It would have been negative 885.5. In that case, area cannot be negative. The modulus bar, what the modulus bar does is that it turns the negative value into a positive value. Now, since this is already a positive value, we can just keep it like this. We can just remove the modulus bar and add and replace it with the brackets. So this is equals to 442.75 units squared. So that is the area of this triangle, and that is the answer to this question. Now moving on to the next questions. The diagram shows the solid pyramid P with vertices A, B, C, and D. ACD is the horizontal triangular base of P. Now we are given some information. AC is 15.5 and A is 3/5 of AC. So let's first find out the value of the length AE. Alright, so we know that AE is equals to 3/5 of AC. Alright, so we do not need to find out the length of AE. We can say that EC will be equals to 2/5 of AC. And the value of AC is 15.5, so the value of EC would be 6.2 centimeters. So this is 6.2, and CD is given as 8.2. Now we can easily find out the value of ED because this is a right angle triangle. So we can use the Pythagoras' theorem. We can say that ED is equals to 8.2 squared minus 6.2 squared root over. So this is equals to around 5.37 centimeters. So that is the answer to the first part. Now moving on to the next part. The solid pyramid T is mathematically similar to P. The area of the triangular base of T is 64.9. Given that vertex B is vertically above point E and angle EBD is 71 degrees. So EBD. So this is 71 degrees. We just need to find out the volume of T. Okay. So this is the shape P. All right, so we know the value of the shape P. Let's find out the base area for shape P. Let's find out the base area of shape P. The base is triangle. The base is half base times the perpendicular height, which is this one. So the base is 15.5. All right, so the area for shape P, so that's 15 half times 15.5 multiplied by the perpendicular height, which is ED. ED is equals to 5.37. So this is equals to around 41.62 centimeters squared. Now, since these two solids are mathematically similar, we can say that the ratio for T by P is equals to the square root of the area of T divided by the area of P. So the area of T is 64.9 and the area of P is 41.62. So this is equals to around root over 64.9 divided by 41.62, which is 1.249, around 1.249. This is the scale factor, basically the ratio. Now we just need to find out the volume of T. In order to find out the volume of T, let's first find out the volume of P first. Now this has been given as 71 degrees. Let's find out the height of this pyramid. So the height of this pyramid can be written as, okay, so that's EB. So the length EB can be written as 1071 equals ED, which is 5.37, divided by EB. So this is equals to about 5.37 divided by 1071. This is equals to around 1.849 centimeters. So now we can easily find out the volume of shape P. So the volume of P is 1 by 3 times the base area. The base area is 41.62. So it's 41.62 multiplied by the height, which is 1.849. So this is about 25.652 or 25.65 centimeters cubed. This is the volume of shape P. Now we can say that the volume of shape T divided by the volume of shape P, which is 25.65, this is equals to the scale factor, which is 1.249. Since we're talking about volume, the scale factor would be cubed. So now we can easily find out the volume of shape T. So it's 25.65 times 1.249 cubed, which is equals to 49.9, or you can just write it as 50 centimeters cubed. Okay, so if you round it off to three significant figures, it is 50 centimeters cubed. So this is the answer to this part. Now moving on to the next question. A curve with equation this is drawn on a grid. P and Q are 2 points on the curve. The point P has coordinate this. The gradient of the tangent to the curve at Q is 6.5. Find the length of PQ. Let's first find out the coordinates of point Q. We know that at point Q, the value of dy over dx is equals to 6.5. And we know that dy over dx is 18x minus 16. So from this, I can easily find out the x coordinate of point Q. So that's 16 plus 6.5 divided by 18, which is 1.25. Now I just need to find out the y coordinate of point Q. I can just substitute this value of x into this equation to find out the y coordinate. So the y coordinate is negative 0.9375. Now I can just easily calculate the length of PQ using the formula of the length. The formula of the length tells us that x1 minus x2 whole squared, that is 1 minus 1.25 whole squared, plus y1 minus y2, so there are two minuses, so this would be plus 0.9375 whole squared, and then we need to root over this whole thing. So this is equals to around 1.09 units, and the unit is centimeters. So that's 1.09 centimeters. So that is the answer to this question. So that is it for this paper, and I hope you guys all enjoyed the video and understood every question so far. Now don't forget to subscribe, leave a like and comment and share this. I will see you guys in the next video.